Good morning, everyone. This is Glennis Fisher. I'm going to be addressing NITAAC and how we are reimagining acquisition. This session was supposed to be done by Keith Johnson, and unfortunately, Keith has run into some serious issues with his laptop this morning, is unable to get in, and therefore I'm going to stand in for Keith. In case you're wondering, I am a consultant for NITAAC, but previously my last federal job was as the Deputy Director of NITAAC. This is the agenda. We're going to just briefly talk about the program overview, talk about benefits of using the GWAC and NITAAC in particular, our 3 GWACs, and we are not going to have a demonstration of our ecosystem, which is the electronic government ordering system. We're going to go over it briefly. If you're interested in knowing more about it, we can talk about it later, or you can call the NITAAC support desk and they're happy to answer any questions. All right, next slide, please. These are the logos for our 3 NITAAC best-in-class GWACs, CIO-SP3, SP3 Small Business, and CS, which is Commodities and Solutions. We'll talk about all of them in a little bit more detail as we proceed through. Next, please. So exactly what are GWACs and why should you be interested in it? Well, GWAC stands for Government-Wide Acquisition Contracts, and they are task delivery IDIQ contracts. They streamline acquisitions under FAR Part 16.5, and we are not subject to the Economy Act. They were established pursuant to the Clinger-Cohen Act, and one of the great things about using the GWACs for IT is that there are not any protest allowed on orders under 10 million. And if you're placing an order with DoD with the DFARS, it's 25 million. So except for these 3 small areas, which are generally not a problem. So it gives you that bonus in addition to being streamlined. Next slide, please. This slide addresses using a GWAC versus using open market. So for anyone who has been waiting on an open market purchase or tried to done one, you know how long a formal solicitation process takes under FAR Part 13 and 15. We, under a GWAC, you do not have to comply. They don't apply those requirements. It's FAR Part 16.5, and instead of the competition requirements of FAR Part 6, we have to meet the fair opportunity standard. Also, there's the benefit of having pre-negotiated ceiling rates at the master contract level. And in addition, you can actually at the task order level have the opportunity to negotiate these rates even lower. All of our contract holders are already pre-selected, screened, and they've been gone through the competition process. And so you know that you're getting a contract holder who has already been evaluated. And hopefully it's a much quicker process for you. We, obviously don't know until you see how difficult your requirements are, how complex the action is, but we like to say that the task and delivery orders may be awarded in 30 days or less. During my time at NITAAC, obviously this is a variable, and I would see my assisted acquisition team get orders done in 2 weeks, but sometimes with more complicated ones, it does take longer. And again, no protest under 10 million if you're a civilian agency. Next slide, please. What is the comparison between NITAAC and using the GSA multiple award schedule? As a former contracting officer, I can tell you one of the greatest assets for using SP3 and SP3 Small Business is the variety of contract types you can use. Under NITAAC, you can take advantage of not only firm fixed price and time and materials, but you can also award CPFF and well, actually the whole host of cost reimbursable type contracts. You can develop hybrids using fixed price and CPFF lines for your action. You're not restricted to using only firm fixed price and TNM. So a lot of times if you're working on or have a more complex action, you really need to have that ability to use the whole suite of contract types, not just firm fixed price. There are no limitations on other direct cost, and also for using the SP3 and SP3 Small Business, you can add new labor categories at your individual task order level. And if you're interested in just buying commodities, you can add them easily at the within 24 hours, usually, or less on the CS contract.
Hey, Glennis.
Constantly updating.
Hey, Glennis, can I bounce in here for just 1 second?
Sure.
This is one of the key pieces, I think, that's really important when it comes to best-in-class contracts and the speed of which things operate. The ability to add labor categories and add products, very important, because what the contract vehicle looked like at the time of solicitation and the time of award is a lot different than what is being pushed through it now, right?
Yeah, so you can obviously customize depending on if it's a commodity you want to add. We want to constantly keep up with the new technology, and new models are constantly being added. I mean, this is something that NITAAC does on a daily basis. We add new items to the CS contract. And at the task order level, if you have a healthy competition with our contract holders, which you generally do, generally we like to say that you have likely on a competitive action 3 to 5 responses. And I think that's the perfect number. It gives you adequate competition. But at the same time, if you're doing open market or GSA, they're larger, you end up with a lot more responses and consequently a lot more to review and manage.
And I think that that's a key piece too, is that when you're dealing with these from the perspective of the government folks that are purchasing, it helps tremendously to have fast access. Because from what I know, I didn't come from contracting, but from all the folks that I've worked with over the years, the most important thing is help me get this thing done so that I can, number one, either get these folks off my back. Not anybody has that problem in their own agency. I'm talking about somebody else. But
theoretically, of course.
Theoretically, it's a theoretical thing. But to how you operate and the way that these work streamlines the ability for purchase and meet, and you'll probably get into this later, but the socioeconomic set aside as well. So I'm gonna let you go. Great stuff so far. I just want to throw that in.
Well, since you brought that up, I do want to also say that you're getting 3 to 5, likely that's the average responses. But remember, just keep in mind, those 3 to 5 are all pre-vetted by NITAAC for you. So it's 3 to 5 generally. I mean, we're not going to make any promises, but there are 3 to 5 solid proposals for you to review.
Yep.
That's exactly what a CO is looking for generally, and program. You want to make sure that you have adequate competition, you have the ability to make the best selection possible, and you don't want to wade through hundreds of proposals if you don't have to. Next slide, please. So these are just a few of our customers, but every department has used NITAAC, and we're very proud of that. And we still like to work with as many as possible. We're constantly doing outreach to different agencies and offices. Next, please. All right, so here we're going to start talking about our individual GWACs. There's SP3 and SP3 Small Business, which is all small business and the 5 socioeconomic categories. And remember, these two, as all 3 of ours, are best in class, which means if you're trying to meet your spend under management goals, any of our GWACs, best in class, gets you there more efficiently. 100% will count towards your spend under management goals. Next, please. Okay. Now, this is more information, obviously, about SP3 and SP3 Small Business. They all are 10-year GWACs with a 10-year ordering period, which also allows for a 15-year performance period. As you can see, they were both issued in 2012, and therefore we are in the midst of preparing for SP4, and I think there's a presentation regarding SP4 today also.
Yes.
Yeah, 10 o'clock, correct?
Whatever it says on the schedule.
Okay, I haven't seen the schedule, but I've heard that it's at 10 today. And it's going to be interesting because this is a fast-moving action. So if you're interested in SP4, please participate at 10. Commercial and non-commercial IT solutions. There are 137 labor categories with competitively priced labor rates, and you can add additional labor categories at the individual task level, and the rates are less than comparable vehicles. And also, again, the flexibility to come up with a combination of ordering types on your order. So again, fixed price, cost plus fixed fee are the 2 most likely ones, but you can also use some of the incentive fees like cost plus award fee or incentive fee, and labor hour and T&M. And that will help you tailor yours to get the best results for your set of unique requirements. Each GWAC has a $20 billion ceiling, and that is something that we don't have to worry about exceeding the ceiling. Next slide, please. Here are the 10 task areas under SP3 and SP3 Small Business. It allows you to purchase everything IT. The first task area 1 is the one that is unique to NITAAC and why we are at NIH as part of HHS. They're biomedical research, health sciences, and healthcare. But basically, as you can look at these, you'll see that they're fairly broad in scope, which means whatever your particular IT needs are, it probably fits into one of these categories. And if you have any questions, NITAAC support people are there to help you figure out which of your task areas you want to go to and why. So next slide, please. Again, these are our SP3 and SP3 Small Business. On the right side, you will see that it's the same 10 task areas, but SP3 on the left, we have 52 contract holders, predominantly large, but some small businesses. And those contract holders have to be eligible in all 10 task areas. The NCAF is the user fee. It is 0.65%. And we say the average orders are between 50,000 and 700 million. It just depends. We have a number of very large actions and where people are building entire enterprise-wide infrastructures, and smaller ones also. SP3 Small Business, there are 237 contract holders. It's generally smaller awards. There are a few large businesses on there. And as mentioned before, we cover all 5 socioeconomic categories, and the fee for use is slightly smaller, 0.55%. And that fee is only collected when the dollars are obligated. So if you have a multi-year, you're not paying the fee for the entire action, you're paying whenever the money's obligated. And the small businesses do not have to be eligible in all 10 task areas. Next slide, please. As we talked about before, we're trying to help agencies meet their socioeconomic goals. And the 5 socioeconomic categories that are separately on the SP3 Small Business means that the contractors were evaluated in their particular socioeconomic set aside, and you can use SP3 Small Business to meet your socioeconomic goals. It's very helpful, and we are very concerned about promoting small business. And one of the advantages is, again, these contract holders have all been pre-screened, so you know that you're getting good contract holders, even if they are, a brand new 8A or women-owned small business. NITAAC has done the initial screening for you. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, the third of our 3 best-in-class GWACs is for commodities and solutions, and we'll talk about that. There are a lot of similarities, as you'll see. Next slide, please. Again, one of the similarities is the $20 billion ceiling. This award was made in 2015, and it was for a 5-year base, and the option was exercised this year, so there's another 5 years. And again, you have the advantage of a 15-year period of performance. These are just commercial items, and therefore all of the orders are within the fixed price category: fixed price, labor hour, time and materials. We did talk earlier about adding additional items. We call that our technology refreshment. We have the ability to add new IT solutions on a daily basis. The turnaround time is less than 24 hours. And by using CS, you have the ability to purchase standalone commodities and services without having to make a giant bulk commodity buy. Next slide, please. This is more information regarding the scope of this GWAC. There are 65 contract holders. We have both original equipment manufacturers, and we have value-added resellers on the contract. The fee for using this is 0.35%, and I should mention that there is an annual cap on the fee for all 3 of our GWACs. For CS, it's $70,000 is the annual cap, and for SP3 and SP3 Small Business, it's $150K as an annual cap. And the orders are smaller generally because you're purchasing commodities and services. You can see that we have 58 value-added resellers, and we have 7 original equipment manufacturers.
That I just want to throw in. Can I throw in a little bit here, Glennis?
Sure.
This is where, again, there's somebody was asking about. I'll throw this out to you because one of the questions, and this is anonymous, by the way, because they don't want to know. This is acronym soup. 42% of us are new to contracting. Yes, we understand that. We don't know what the acronyms mean, and we know it can be acronym soup. But what this is saying is, you have a series of contract holders. You have 65 total contract holders, right? That's
yes.
What we're reading there. And then 58 of those contract holders fall into the value-added resellers, the VAR, as well as original equipment manufacturers. And again, if you're a small business and want to do business with these folks, and we'll talk about this and definitely want to hit this in Brian's. Oh, by the way, I got it. It's 10 a.m. It's a NITAAC engagement room is where you're going to be able to engage with Brian, and I responded to that in the chat. But this is really important for folks that are new, just to soak in what you can. You're not going to get all the acronyms in one day, and it is acronym soup. You are in acronym soup land. That's a great terminology. Wouldn't you say, Glennis? That
Oh, are
we live there, but
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and I'll get to I'll get to your questions in a few minutes. I just wanted to throw this out that when you look at this, how this scales out from the perspective of the buyers, it gives a great access to qualified, and you mentioned it before, pre-qualified, approved, and they've already been vetted.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I mean, I understand that it is confusing. So I don't know that it makes a really big difference if you don't understand what the difference is between a value-added reseller and an original equipment manufacturer. It's just that you can get anything, pretty much IT, off this particular GWAC, and some items it's most expeditious for you to use a reseller, and sometimes it's you use the original equipment manufacturer. I'm not an IT expert by any means, so I don't want to pretend that I am, but depending on what you're purchasing, it gives you the flexibility to use either kind of contractor. And there will be even more on this in a second as we go through. So next slide, please. These are just a few of the items that you can actually purchase on our GWAC. And as you can see, again, these are sort of high level, and most things can fit under it. We have a lot of cloud solution purchases, hardware and software, of course, and cybersecurity. That's one of our, more the item of the day right now. We just finished Cybersecurity Awareness Month, licenses, and this is just an easy, quick way to purchase your IT solutions and your devices. And if you are trying to purchase laptops and desktops, we have an even more streamlined way to do that, which is the subset of this particular GWAC. It's GSS, and we'll talk about that next. Thanks. Okay. Here are some of the categories and the items that you can buy, so you can see even in more detail about the types of particular IT services and solutions that you can buy on CS, the categories. And as you can see, it's pretty extensive and still high level. So most things fit under it. And the same with our SP3 and SP3 Small Business. If you ever have any questions, we have a support staff who are subject matter experts in our GWACs, and they can help you figure out which categories you belong in, which of our task areas. If you ever have a question about which particular GWAC would be best for your requirement, we help you with that. And if you're on one of the SP3, our subject matter experts will help you figure out exactly which of the task areas your requirement belongs in. So as a smaller GWAC, we are very, very customer service oriented. We take that very, very seriously. And if you need any help, just reach out to us. We'll have all the contact information available in the slides. So you'll probably see it multiple times today, but we really seriously mean if you ever have any questions, give us a call. We'll get you an answer, generally really quickly. And if it's something more complicated, we will get back to you and let you know when you should expect an answer. Next slide, please. Mentioned earlier, I talked about the government-wide strategic solutions for laptops, desktops, and all the peripherals. And this is a subset of CS, and we'll talk about that now. Please slide. Okay. Our GSS is one of 3 preferred OMB sources for DoD and the civilian agencies to obtain desktops, laptops, monitors, softwares, hardware, all at a competitive price. So if you're interested in laptops, desktops, please look at GSS. It's a very streamlined process. We like to make ordering off GSS similar to using like Amazon. It's quick. We have an electronic government ordering system, which will help you move through the process and simplify the steps for you. Next slide, please. We have 17, again, pre-selected contract holders from the CS contract, and they will help you purchase most likely laptops, desktops, tablets. Also, you can get some of the peripherals such as warranties and docking stations, all the things that you need in order to move forward with your laptops and desktops. And again, this is a subset of the CS contract, and it's a very streamlined process. Anything you need to order with competitive prices. Next slide, please. As I did mention, we have an electronic government ordering system. We're happy to help you get registered for it if you're interested. Just on our website, there's a login button, and it's on the NITAAC homepage, and you click on the button to register, and you will get access to it really quickly. There's online FAR guidance for fair opportunity. It becomes your database of record for all your contracting documents for the life of the acquisition. It helps you manage the solicitation and goes all the way through to closeout. It consolidates a lot of the steps for you, and it's a very easy system to use. If you're, especially if you're a contracting officer or a contract specialist, I think you will really appreciate this. For example, if you're trying to put together an IGCE, you can go in and pull rates to help develop your IGCE, which is a really great feature. Next, please. Also, NITAAC has another great feature, which is assisted acquisitions. And if anyone is interested in having NITAAC perform your IT acquisition for you off of one of our 3 GWACs, we're available to help you do that. Next slide, please. We have a cadre of IT acquisition specialists. They're all FACC level 3. They are trained in agile acquisition practices and all other implementing innovative strategies. We help you through the entire process, through market research, all the way through closeout. They are very adept at helping you put together your package and moving it through the process. Okay, next slide, please. All right, fair opportunity. Next slide, please. So let me go back. There was probably supposed to be another video in there, which we didn't do, but please, if you're interested in fair opportunity, it's FAR 16.5. In comparison to having to do under FAR Part 6, the ability to justify fair opportunity is a more streamlined justification, and it's what is required under the GWAC versus open market purchases. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, as I mentioned before, customer service. We pride ourselves on our ability that we go beyond what most other offices and GWACs will do to help you with your solicitation or any questions that you have regarding NITAAC. And this is a compilation of some of the things that we've talked about, our ability to call at any time or go to the website and put in a question. We have people there to help you from 8 to 6 p.m. And during the month of September, when everyone is so busy, we have extended hours. I did mention that we get back to you within an hour. On our website, there's tools and templates, a lot more information about NITAAC. We want to have you go there, even if you don't want to use NITAAC, just go there and check out the tools and templates, because we all can use some help sometimes. 1102s are extremely busy. And as I mentioned, this says free technical reviews on SP3 and SP3 Small Business. It's even a little bit better than that. We will review it for you, review your statement of work, help you figure out like which vehicle, which task order, and there is no commitment to use NITAAC. So if it turns out that you want a technical review and you turned out not to use NITAAC, there's no penalty. If you decide that you want to use our assisted acquisition, there is a 2% fee for using assisted acquisition. And again, like the NCAF, that's paid on the obligation of the money. So it's not, you don't have to pay for the entire amount upfront of your action. When you obligate, say, an option, then you would pay for the fee on and the NCAF on that particular obligated amount. We also offer free training sessions with 2 CLPs. In the training sessions, we do an in-depth demonstration of the electronic government ordering system, and it's 2 CLPs. But if you're in EGOS and you have any questions, the help desk will be available to stay on the phone with you until they resolve the questions for you. Log on takes 5 minutes, just in the event that you want to go on and just kind of look around to see how to develop your solicitation or how it would work for market research. But it is a great tool. And all of the contact information will be on the next slide if you want to contact NITAAC, or maybe the one after that. But yeah, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. And the
There it is.
slides will be available. And if you are a federal employee and you're interested in, or a federal contractor and you're interested in knowing more about NITAAC, you can contact us either at the telephone number below or through our website, and we are happy to help you. We're also very happy to set up additional training. We have every monthly training on generally the last Thursday of the month, and you can register to take that. But if you want to have a specialized training that's just customized to your individual agency, we are happy to do that also. It's just slightly different, but then the general webinar, in that we talk about your particular agency, what you have used NITAAC for, and your business. But please take advantage of any of our resources. We're here to help you, and we're very happy to continue any conversations you'd like to have about using NITAAC and what we can do to help you solve any of your acquisition IT needs.
Glynis, you are a rock star. So everybody knows, I met Glynis yesterday because we're pulling in people for the lunch session. And then all of a sudden she pops in here. I'm like, what the heck are you doing here? And she has problems with her camera.
Yes.
And so that's why of that. So between the problems with the camera and having to pop in here, because this is definitely going to open you up to more questions than I was going to ask you at lunchtime, as we talked about. And we do have a few, and I think they're going to be great. So Sean Powell is asking, if we're a new business, how do we request entry to the pool of vendors? you utilize for equipment needs, even if it's just to gain awareness of RFQ needs. So
Okay.
this is a great question. I want to
Yeah.
hear the answer to this one.
That is a great question. And probably if you want to come back, we'll talk about it even more at noon. But please go to the 10 o'clock session with Brian Goodger. He's the acting NITAAC director and the acting deputy director. But right now we're ramping up for SP4, which is the follow-on to SP3. It's a perfect time for you to go to our website, review the draft RFP. The draft RFP has already been issued and closed, but please go back and look at it if you're interested in joining the NITAAC Nation. We will also be issuing the NITAAC SP4 RFP very soon, probably December, but Brian can give you more data on that exactly, and hopefully closing about 90 days later. And the expectation is that in 2022, we will be issuing SP4. If you don't want to wait, or you don't think you want to actually maybe be on the contract, again, go to our website. You will find a whole list of all of our NITAAC contract holders. If there are any in your region, try to reach out to them personally. Maybe you can subcontract with them. You can partner with them. Look for opportunities that.
And the information is right there on you. If you, and we'll probably pull that link out and distribute that after this. We'll pull that information to be able to say, here's a list of all the primes. Go get them. Go get them. You want to know these guys anyway, and you want those guys to know you. And that's one of the reasons they're here. Hopefully there's plenty of people that are here. We reached out to all the primes and said, hey, come to this thing, because we know that they're looking for qualified partners and they need them, right? They can't do everything. They need, they subcontract on a regular basis. In fact, I have one for you here, and you may kick this to the next session. We got about 5 minutes left. We're very interested in how primes will be able to count the corporate experience of subcontractors. For example, on the score sheet in Factor 2, does the prime need to be to form a 9.601? You're going to take this offline. CTA to use projects led by subs, or can it count its partner's experience? So I think that probably would be a great question to take offline, don't you think?
Well, I think it's probably a question that you can try asking in the SP4 session, because, I have not, in my time back at NITAAC in the last 6 months, I have not been involved with SP4. So as regards the solicitation, I don't want to step out of my lane and try to answer something that I'm not an expert at. Because that's a pretty nuanced question.
It is a very nuanced question, and obviously they're reading exactly what is required in the solicitation, which is fantastic, because that's what you're supposed to do, right?
It is what you're supposed to do. And as mentioned, you can ask again at Brian Goodger will be the contracting. He'll be presenting on SP4. He is the signer of the contract, so he will be the one that will be the best person to direct those kind of specific questions to. But again, please go to our website, check out all the potentials. We try to help with marketing, but you do really have to market yourself if you want to meet up with, and partner with another one of our contract holders. But it's a great way to do a lot of things, such as getting to understand NITAAC, getting to know us. And also, it's a great opportunity to start building your past performance under NITAAC by participating as a sub.
Yep. And to your point, it is critical to be marketing yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Not as well as you can by any means.
No way in the world. and injecting yourself in a conversation with the federal buyer and the decision makers at the agency level, and then going to the prime and saying, hey, I got an opportunity that may be good, is the best way. We'll talk about that later in my session. That was an unabashed, plug for my session at 4 o'clock.
Okay, it is another perfect way if you're aware of any kind of opportunities to bring it to NITAAC, to reach out to any of our outreach staff, and they can help you figure out how to manage it, because a lot of agencies will want to go to one of the GWACs because they do understand that it makes things simpler. They understand that, best in class.
Yep.
Helps them meet some of their goals. And if you're not on the GWAC itself, we can help you figure out how to manage that.
Exactly. And that's why you're here. And that's great. And I'm taking back the screen for just a minute because I'm going to share this over here with everybody. And this, if you go back to your program, everybody, everything's driven by the program, right? Everybody knows that by now. Hopefully you're already here. So you already did at least one or two things right today. So this is the session. And if you take a look, this fine, handsome man that says NITAAC under there, that's Mr. Brian Goodger. And you just go right here and enter that engagement room, and that will be lit up in just about 20 minutes. And I cannot thank you enough, Glynis, for popping in here and making the session work, because you're just a rock star. I told you that earlier, and
I'm just pinch hitting in this case, but happy to be able to support NITAAC and join this great training.
Well, we love the fact that you're here. We really appreciate what you guys do. And we're at 9:40, so we're going to kick everybody out of here, and you go visit all the V booths, get your giveaways, make sure you find out who their favorite actor is. And that's the question. So go there. And then if you guys are more interested in NITAAC and what's happening with SP4, the #1 place to be is that 10 o'clock session with Brian Goodger, and it's a little bit more free form. It's a hodgepodge. So hop in there, and he'll be able to help you because he is the acting director, which means he can direct. Isn't that right, Glynis?
Yep, he's the guy.
He's the man.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. And recordings will be made. That last thing I will say is recordings will be made, as well as all of this will be packaged up in a session. It'll take a couple of weeks to pull all this stuff together, but once we do, it'll shoot back out to you, and you'll have access to everything, including the PowerPoint and contact information that was there. Glynis, you're the best. Thank you so much. I'll see you at 12:30.
Yes, you will. All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Tune in to Brian, everyone.
Yep. Great last plug.
Yeah, exactly.